My name is Abdulaziz Al-Bassam, and I'll be presenting on behalf of Harvard Business School. And because we're so believers in businesses, we believe that governments should be a government inc. Before that, we need to start with where governments are today. Governments today, first, capital inefficiencies are a big part of government spending. According to Professor Clay Christensen of Building and Sustaining Successful Enterprises, governments have patience for profitability, but impatience for growth, which leads to unsustainable growth among government-owned businesses and hampering innovation and economy. Another effect that does is crowding out private investments. That's not the best practice of how it should be. Another thing that we see is government responsiveness. The governments tends to be less responsive than they should be. Later adopter of technology and lack of education because of that. And the third is human capital. Even though a lot of governments have highest degrees, but that high degree of education tend to stop before going to the government. As we've seen in the conference today, education is a continuous cycle. It does not stop at one time. It continuously develops over time. And we think one of the important aspects of businesses that we can take to the government is that feedback loop, is that involvement with that educational cycle. So what are we proposing? Our vision is to create a vertical and horizontally integrated government that enables the private sector to lead the economy and develop speciality and deep expertise. We're doing this by emphasizing on three pillars. First, innovation and launchpad. What do we mean by that? Identifying competitive advantages that lays on within specific geographical areas of that government and bringing on entrepreneurs and foreign expertise into the country to take that to the next level of innovation and creativity. The second thing is idea exchange, enabling another platform yet to create another discussion and exchange of ideas between different expertise worldwide on the same issues that have the same problem. We believe one of the good ideas about businesses is that you need not to recreate the wheel, but you can start where other people ended. And the third is the vertically and horizontally integrated. What we mean is by vertically having link-to-link IT interaction, where request does not stop at one specific official, but requests continue from one person to another and kind of push that momentum within the government. And by horizontally integrated, what we mean is that a cloud computing that lays on a cover between all government agencies that tends to have that machine learning that creates that synergies and utilization between the different governments. So what do we see to create our recommendation? Two case studies, as we are at HBS loves these studies. First, it's not but the Silicon Valley. And we looked at what makes Silicon Valley. And first, it's a community of capital and ideas, developing special expertise in engineering and other technical areas due to the close proximity to great schools like Stanford University, who happen to be with us today. And the small density of area that allows that exchange of ideas. And the other part is the culture of risk-taking. And that is what we see absent from a lot of government agencies, is that fear of taking risks, not going to the next level, and not being rewarded to that. We feel that this is an absolute importance. And the other case is Singapore, which they've done a policy climate in which they recognize that the government may not be the best business people. So what they said is that they're going to raise capital alongside with the government and going to lead the innovation, and they're going to stay from behind. And the other part is reverse innovation. Basically, the government would put in the problem and would allow it for the private sector, the entrepreneurs, to lead that charge of solving that problem. So what do we see the government? We see the government as a regulator, as an enabler of the private sector, as a platform innovator for innovation and entrepreneurs to create the government, to solve a lot of the government problems. The first pillar of recommendation is education and raising awareness. It is fine to take risks. It's fine to fail as long as failure is part of getting to success. We want to encourage that behavior among students and government officials from early on in their careers so they can take that forward. We want to create that ongoing education through the online academy and exchange of expertise throughout the world. And that's what we're proposing here. And the third is maximizing interaction between local talent and global talent that we're bringing into the country to kind of develop best-in-class expertise within that country. And the second is one-stop shop regulator. The thing that hurt businesses most is dealing with a lot of government bureaucracies. The way to do that is to create one-stop shop for all regulation, to be in one place, a paperless online infrastructure that would deal with licensing, visas, and other parts that would make it easier to do business and lead the economy forward. The other thing that we think is absolutely important is feedback and rating. Basically, the citizens are the government's customers. They're going to give feedback on how every service goes and give rating and a comment, and governments will be held accountable to that. And the third is public and private partnership. How? Creating a hub of entrepreneurs and government initiatives and experimenting with state-owned enterprises. What do we mean by that? We mean that there is a lot of groundwork that could be happening. Governments do not only could give capital to entrepreneurs to innovate and solve their problems, but also they can experiment with their state-owned enterprises throughout the different healthcare hospitals or airports that can be actually a leader of innovation in that place. So the access to capital, the experimentation with innovation, is that how we see the government going forward? Thank you very much.